course.
That's really where I was going to go, is that Bologna repeatedly has been the stun character, the character looking for the initiation, or even the offensive character with the damage. And here, in Season 5 in the Fall Split, it's been really hard to get these Phoenix Sieges on lock, and those protections brought to you by the Eagles Rally have been really important, and Benji, using his noodle, made sure to utilize those to his best advantage. One game in the book for eUnited. We'll see if they can clean it up into, or if Luminosity going to give us some bonus smite today. eUnited will be on the first pick, as Luminosity, the loser of Game 1, opts for the secondary selection.
And I find that to be more interesting than anything else, because giving eUnited first pick must mean that Luminosity have some kind of counter draft situation in mind to be going on here. Chernobog going to be the first God ban away of choice, though last time it was the Freya for eUnited, so curious to see if they choose to ban Freya again as well here, or if they're going to leave her open.
Well, so far, classic bans coming out: Baron, Chernobog, Naja. Freya is going to be open, as Athena is the fourth and final ban here in the first phase. eUnited took her last time, and they'll take her this time. So the first pick, Freya. No surprise here, I suppose, for many at home. And LG, why did they go for the secondary pick? Because they want the Morrigan. And who else do they want alongside the Celtic Mage?
Well, they could choose to supplement it with a jungler, and that's what I was kind of hoping to see, is that they would look for a double ulting composition here with the Morrigan. From CLG, we saw a lot of Rat Morrigan, and that worked out really well for Homie Efe and Hurrywin, but I think Serket and Morrigan can work out just as well for Luminosity. Morrigan especially has really been on the rise in pro play lately.
Yeah, you know, at the end of the day, she's very difficult to play, and I think what's happening is that she's been out for a long time, and now players are finally adding her to their god pool of characters that they feel confident enough to bring to the pro level. So the Morrigan will be in the hands of ShadowChair most likely. Amaterasu and Hun Bats will go ahead and share the battlefield with Freya for eUnited, and the final selection in the first half of the draft for LG. Alongside the jungler and the mid lane, we've got a Hunter, a short side, and a Guardian, and it's going to be the latter. Terra will be the selection.
Very interesting first three-man composition here for Luminosity. They do have some nice damage spread, but again, it's just that a little bit of a lack of early game presence, I feel, because of the Terra and the Serket can struggle a bit, I think, at the start. But since eUnited does have the Humbats with the Freya, they could have their own troubles to try and deal with this. I like the Serket for the Freya. I like the dive opportunities that I think it might open up for Luminosity, but also I think that Earth and Fury could come to play a huge part here for Luminosity.
So Freya has been played almost exclusively, if memory serves, actually exclusively, in the mid lane. PandaCat has historically been a Freya player, but that's where the character was different, more on the Hunter side of things. Now, most players kind of view her as just a pure burst mage, but it looks like LG's not quite sold. They do ban out the Artemis for PandaCat, but they also ban out the Thoth guy here. Looks like they're not sure where the Freya's going to wind up. LG give their Star Hunter Hachiman, and eUnited select Ho Yi for PandaCat, ensuring that we're going to see Freya in that middle lane.
I think that Freya is just still a little bit too much of a liability in that dual lane for eUnited to comfortably want to put her on PandaCat. And I also feel like Ho Yi would go much better with the Amaterasu. You've got the slow that you can combine with the mobility. The slow from the Sunbreaker, by the way, for those at home wondering what that's all about. And I think that Amaterasu, with all of that mobility to offer, could really benefit these two carries. The question that I have, though, is eUnited does lack a little bit of control. Not a whole lot of crowd control going on for the team, mostly just centralized around burst damage and mobility.
Well, LG also lacking a little bit of control. Kiki might be playing the Morrigan. I think that's where we're going to see him playing that character, as Discordia is the last pick for LG, leaving two usual mid-mages, and when something's going weird for LG, it's usually Kiki playing the weird stuff. So I think the Morrigan's going to find herself in that short side. Whether she builds tanky or not is up in the air, and I'm very eager to see how this out-of-place mage will do.
You say that, but we have seen Discordia solo from Kiki also.
Oh no.
I think this might be Discordia solo.
That's actually very true. We have seen the Discordia solo in the past from Kiki, and with that in mind, but ShadowChair, as you mentioned, he's kind of a question mark. Players not sure what he's willing to bring out. I think that's going to add to the ambiguity of the draft. Whether or not it's going to be the victory condition is a different story. eUnited or LG, take your choice and put it in the poll. Right now, I think it's anybody's game, but if game 1 was an indication at all, eUnited certainly looking strong. It's John Finch and it's Ryan Aggro Bailey on the call. Bring us the action.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Taco. Going into game 2, and it's a scary world when Benji gets to 9th pick Cullen, but that is the world in which we reside. They have a skin based around how well my man plays this god in particular, and Kiki on this Morrigan might be about to find out.
I tuned out as soon as I saw Baskin got Freya mid. So.
Oh, yeah, also, yes, that's not good.
This alongside...
Did I bury the lead there?
A little. Not necessarily. There are different leads, you know. But I think that both are certainly scary. PBM playing Ama support just works so well with Freya. Gives her that extra little bit of oomph as if she needed any. And gives you the opportunity to give her some help in moving around a little bit.
I love the obnoxiousness of Benji to walk in a straight line through the autos right at Kiki. Like, no attempt even to kind of go, like, avoid him. He's trying to get in there and start trading right away. And this is how you play Warriors over here, especially when it's a mage, man. You got to be almost, not disrespectful, but certainly just like mean, just rude over here in this solo lane.
And Benji's willing to do that because it builds his rage. He knows he's not going to actually win that health trade, but it doesn't matter because whenever he transforms, he will have more effective health than Kiki. So you can use your body in that sense and get yourself in a position to transform a little bit earlier.
That's kind of pretty. Like, use your body, like, you know. I don't know. I like that.
Don't make it weird, Finch.
Oh, yeah. Right. Sorry.
It's cool.
PolarBearMike and Benji, or PandaCat rather, both have purple buffs at this point, so I imagine that invade went well for them. They will be heading back over to the lane, using perhaps the best skin in the game right now, Chibi Amaterasu. I'm a huge fan. PolarBearMike gets +1 to all stats when he uses that, I imagine. Pay to win.
That is not true.
That's fair. That's true. It's not.
Just wanted to make that very clear. PBM
PolarBearMike might die
may
here.
have needed that extra stat, but won't get it because Clout gets first blood for Luminosity. A little bit too aggressive from PBM, and again, he went for the Sunder, so no sprint, no shell to help him survive.
And that can happen. I mean, Amaterasu's level 1 in early levels in solo are not particularly good, and the same thing can be a little bit true over here in the duo lane. They went with that start where they were trying to grab those purple buffs. I think they're a little bit behind Geno and Clout in terms of lane pressure, and just excellent recognition from them. Popped the sprint and found first blood.
That gets Luminosity off to a much better start than they had last game, where PandaCat and PBM were able to invade, remember, on that purple buff and set themselves ahead and nearly kill Geno and Clout very early on. Now PandaCat, not only did first blood go the way of LG, but PandaCat's already poked out pretty heavily and doesn't have any more health potions in inventory. Only has multi-pots.
They're going to be stuck here at this tower line unless they can get a little bit of help to come over in the form of Scream. But to be honest, Doonbots is not particularly scary pre-level 5, though anything to sort of back them up and allow PolarBearMike and PandaCat to breathe a little bit easier would certainly be appreciated, as Geno and Cloud are going to head back and actually grab their farm this time, and PolarBearMike and PandaCat can have a bit of a reprieve.
Baskin chased out those purification beads from ShadowChair in mid, and it's a good look, especially when you have a Hunbats on your team. It turns out that if you don't have beads against Hunbats, you're going to have a tough time. Now, there is some good news for ShadowChair, and that's that Discordia, if Hunbats blinks and can't quite get right on top of you with that Fear to Weevil, then you likely will get that fear off. You won't get that whole fear off because you can use that confusion, that erratic behavior, and try and get out of range of the Fear No Evil and not be on the receiving end of an easy kill.
That's got to be the idea here from ShadowChair, because it's been so much poke coming out from Baskin in this middle lane. And Taco and I were sort of talking about this earlier with Freya, where she can have pressure earlier on, but sometimes because she's not so safe, she has to play a little bit back if there's a high-pressure jungler there. But Baskin has not seemed to have been worried about Weekend on this Circuit at all. He's been aggressively onto ShadowChair. He's been stepping up, trading with Weekend very well, and I feel like doing a good job being a nuisance here in this middle lane so far.
Pre-level 5, that's absolutely the case. But once you hit level 5, you can position pretty aggressively, because Valkyrie's Discretion is a get-out-of-jail-free card more often than not. It gets you out of combat. You're able to move a decent amount, and oh yeah, you deal a ton of damage while you're up in there. Not too bad.
Scream blinking to avoid getting hit by the wall there, put back into danger, and because of it, force use that Fear No Evil a bit defensively. He might have been out at that point, but definitely wanted to make sure there was no chance.
So that is where new team members, I think, come into play, where usually in that situation, it's Baskin's job to tell Scream what's coming at him. It's not like most MOBAs where it's a top-down and you have all the information available to you. In Smite, you can only see the direction you're turned. So Baskin should be able to say, it's only Geno, you're good. You don't have to worry in this spot, hold your beads. But if that communication isn't there, you're thinking about other things, is that natural sort of instinct isn't there for you quite yet. And that's where Scream has to use his ult and his beads, where one would have done the job, if not just one of them.
Unfortunately for Scream, that is going to make things a little bit easier for the rest of the team on the back end of this, at least on the side of LG. And knowing they don't have to worry about this pressure from the bots. PolarBearMike appears to be holding the wave here as Weaken, Geno, and ShadowChair all lurking in the jungle. Cobra's Kiss, Deathbane, Last Breath with a lot of damage.
Nice auto.
The ultimate's off the mark, but it didn't matter. Weaken cleans that kill up nicely.
That was a really nice auto from Weaken, because that was his last shot to get that kill, as he needed to land that auto attack. PBM. So caught sleeping a little bit on that right-hand side, and this is a trend from game one as well, that the wards for eUnited in the early game aren't particularly good. They just don't have a lot of information across the map yet, whereas Luminosity definitely had that advantage.
And I'm even more impressed by that auto, because if he's trusting that follow-up to come through there from ShadowChair, then he doesn't even particularly need it with Last Breath ticking down, but just confirmation, making sure they get that kill. A nice job. And now Geno, though, could be in trouble in mid. Scream certainly punishing. No beads, no problem. They get the return kill.
You may be asking yourself why PBM goes for Sunder if he's died twice in the early game, where Shell or Sprint may have saved at least one of those. Well, that's the reason, because Geno just got popped very, very quickly.
KikiSoCheeky still not going to save you here. Fear No Evil puts him up against the wall. A great stun.
Wow.
Not only gets Benji, but very well may save his life. KikiSoCheeky, what a play.
That'll do, Kiki, and he's looking for more.
Wow.
Has the stun available. Scream gets jumped on, and Kiki gets both. That's what you get for diving me. Get out of my lane, as the famous Ron Jobbert would say.
What is going on this week? Kiki's playing out of his mind. When LG won their set earlier, it was off the back of some excellent Kiki play on this Morgan pick for him. Maybe Kiki is at another level with it, and you just can't let him have it.
Kiki,
that might be the case.
Kiki been a Morgan main, dude. He's been playing that since it was brought out in the earlier seasons. He's always loved this character because Kiki loves to play weird stuff, A, and B, be able to do anything for your team. Well, the Morgan qualifies as both of those in the solo lane, so of course Kiki is going to be sick on this pick. There was no doubt in my mind that this Morgan was going over to him in the solo lane whenever we saw the picks and bans, and for good reason. Also, we got to give him credit. That build, he didn't have breastplate done quite yet, but he started on breastplate 2, which is a bit odd, but it worked out there, gave him the protection he needed.
Geno is in some trouble. He gets caught by the banish, and the dash interrupted. That spells the end of his life. PandaCat will fall in trade. Apple a little bit off the mark, so PandaCat ends up being that one that is traded out. Scream can now disengage with the jump, even with the horse coming out from Clout.
PandaCat nearly triple bounced Weaken into oblivion on that red buff, but Weaken was able to get just up and over it with that ambush. Good red buff invade from Luminosity, understanding that PandaCat still isn't at his peak performance, especially playing around the fact that Clout built boots in the early game, whereas PandaCat again went for the Devo Gloves rush. So Clout's just going to be more useful at this point. He's faster around the map, he's got more movement speed, he does more damage than you. It's tough to contest against that.
LG, though, playing very well here in the early game, Ryan. 2-0-0 for Kiki, 2-0-0 for Weaken. And it might not even have looked that much like it up to this point, but really they have been. Weaken had the excellent play in middle lane, where he found that last auto attack to make sure PolarBearMike died. Kiki with the tremendous outplay underneath the tier 1 tower in solo lane. And all of a sudden, they're both out in front, about a level lead each for their solo jungle side.
Scream's going for the hi-rez Lament, and I do think that this is going to help him out quite a bit. He already has hi-rez built into the passive. After an ability, he does more damage with the next in-hand. As you see, ShadowChair is finding that out the hard way. Good peel from Geno, but not enough to save his mid laner's life.
Geno's in a little bit of trouble. The Suns are going to come down, force him to the right, but Weekend finds a double kill and returns back, making a triple kill. Baskin does come in and find some damage. Weekend has Clout here up into the air with the Valkyrie's discretion. That'll put an end to Weekend's troubles, but now Clout should be able to trade this one out.
Indeed he will. 3 for Weekend,
Wow.
a 4th for Clout. That double Cobra's kiss, man. Just nuts. And just like Kiki's got to bring out the Morrigan every once in a while to show you he's still got it, Weekend's got to bring out the Circuit every once in a while to show you he's got it. The man's logo was a Circuit reference for a while. He can play the god.
His namesake, and every once in a while, man, Weekend has games like this. And this is the thing, I think Weekend's capable of popping off like this more often than we see, but it's not what LG needs from him. It's not what they ask from Weekend in their jungle role. Why he so often, I feel like, works as their facilitator. But he's more than capable of having games like this. My man doesn't stream all night long, able to do it here in the Pro League just the same. 5-1-1 on this Circuit and looking good.
Double Cobra's kiss plays are like,
yes,
those are what I live for, man. That's the kind of stuff, just like I was saying with On Her and Tier and those sorts of types of plays are really what get me excited to watch the SPL every day and watch the best players in the world do it. It's just so clean, man. To bring those two people together and slap them up with the Deathbane, it's awesome.
And they're one of those plays, I think if you watch them back, it might not look maybe super hard, but it's really tough.
Yes.
And moving in different directions. Cobra's Kiss is not the biggest ability that you're trying to land. It kind of fires a little bit different than you might expect. Excellent play there from Weekend. I agree with you. I love when we get to see him play well and look this strong. And now LG have a chance, I feel like, to sort of slow eUnited down and answer back.
Every time I try and hit 2 people with 1 Cobra's Kiss, I end up feeling like Igor from Young Frankenstein, you know? Like, you're just completely cross-eyed, not knowing where everyone is.
Whoop is going to mean Clout has to use the beads early on. He is able to get out of there with the mounted archery, but look at the pathing Scream is taking to this fight. Well, it might be a little bit too late. Geno disengages with the dash, and it's over before it really starts.
That does open up a Gold Fury potential here, though, for eUnited. Now, Scream's beads are still down, but so are ShadowChair's, and that's where Fear No Evil is going to do more work than that Golden Apple. And indeed, there it goes, right on the Shadow.
ShadowChair low very early on. Suns are just too much. PandaCat finds the kill, and there's really nowhere for the Discordia to go. Geno lands the Roop and runs right back towards Benji, but he's a tanky Terran and has been able to disengage. eUnited not really interested in this Gold Fury, though. They got their pick, and they're out of there.
Scream, again, just uses that Fear No Evil in the right spot. And I really like the way he did that. Instead of dropping Fear No Evil and then jumping in, knowing that his beats were still down, he uses it from a distance, which usually you don't see that often, and instead says, all right, Benji, go to work. You got this under control. Just uses it over the wall and then retreats himself, lets PandaCat from a distance, and Benji really do the meat of the damage for him while still staying safe. That was smart.
And I think that's the second time now we've seen the weaknesses of Discordia, I feel like, kind of on display. There's really just nowhere for her to go. That erratic behavior can be so strong, right? It can immune the damage out if you time it right. It can get over walls, which can, if they're really thin, which can sometimes be a really big escape tool. But in a situation like that with a constantly ticking ultimate like the Fear No Evil, there's really no recourse, I feel like, for the Discordia. And twice now she's been caught in a very similar spot.
And that's where you see the difference between minor league and pro league play start to materialize, where a lot of times ShadowChair, yes, his beads are down, but he's got erratic behavior, he's got CC immunity from his ultimate, he can probably walk in at least that far to a Gold Fury fight and still be able to stay safe the majority of the time in the minor league. At the pro league, you're not going to let that, the teams aren't going to let that happen to you. And I do think there's an effort from eUnited to specifically put pressure on ShadowChair, and I think he's done a pretty decent job of not being overwhelmed in this position, but still, you can tell that he's got a little bit to learn still.
Some small areas like that where a jungler like Scream, man, could absolutely make you pay for it, and he's happy to do it every time. Benji and PandaCat have been right there with him for the follow-up. But this game's still very, very even. LG, it kind of feels like they've got the momentum. The numbers don't really back that up that much. About 1,000 gold difference. Experience is equalized at this point in the game. 9-6 in the kills doesn't tell the story. This game's dead even.
I do think LG had all the momentum. Once Kiki got that double kill in the solo lane, once Weekend was able to get that triple, but what happened after that? Everyone backed to base, and there wasn't anything that either team could do to really keep that lead going in LG's favor.
Gold Fury is going to be the call, but it's been unleashed for now, so it's going to heal right back up. Not just least, it's been forgotten. PandaCat and PolarBearMike show their face, and that's really all that it took, even without really much else there. LG not trying to take these fights over it right now. If they couldn't steal it for free, they didn't want it.
Interesting that PBM decides to go for the on Chile here.
That is interesting.
We saw it in the last game. For Robin in the jungle, that's a little bit more standard. This is not what you're used to seeing out of a support Ama. And I really would have liked it a little bit more if Mike had decided to gone for Warrior Tabi first. He would have been very, very squishy. But really, how much tankier is he with these tank boots in comparison? If you want to go and use that aggressiveness and be, the dude dealing actually very relevant damage in these team fights as a support in the early game, I feel like it might just be better to commit than to split the damage in that spot. It's excellent against the Morrigan because she can't use that stun auto attack Dark Omen combo on you, and if that's really what he's worried about, he probably could have waited a little bit for that to happen. Though I guess it is already 15 minutes and Kiki has showed his face on a rotation at least once so far that he's worried about it. It's also good against Terra. I'm talking myself into it the more and more that he's going tank boots into on Chile, but I just wonder if Genji's guard is just outright better in the actual stats that it gives you and not the passive.
Well, you had that question during that whole thing, right? Just how tanky is PolarBearMike? Well, not a ton. My man really got bursted just now around that Oracle Gold Fury pit. They did gain the vision of it, so they'll know if LG try and pull that Gold Fury up one more time, but PolarBearMike certainly did have to back on the back end of that. He's healing back up right now and going a little bit more traditional, it looks like, in his defensive option with that Steel Mail, so he'll be a little bit tankier up against the likes of Clout and Weaken now when he's not, just doing true damage.
Just like in game one, I pointed out earlier on that the early game wards for United were a little bit lacking around the mid lane, that Luminosity had much better vision control around the mid lane entrances. But just like in game one, now that it hits the point where Gold Fury is a relevant option for either of these teams, eUnited's wards get infinitely better. And I don't think that's a coincidence. You're looking at eUnited trying to save early game gold, just rely on their communication a little bit, their overall map understanding to know where the enemy jungler is going to be at any given time, and use that instead of spending 50 gold so they can invest that 50 gold into their items in the earlier game. But now where vision becomes absolutely paramount, where you need to know where everyone is if you're going to be pulling a Gold Fury, if you're defending a Gold Fury. Those pieces of information are so necessary that you can't just try and take an educated guess at it, that they'll start to invest that money.
They have a ton of vision, at least LG does, around this Gold Fury so far. Invested a bunch of wards. PolarBearMike is pushed up forward, trying to defend, but there's really not much there. I am trying to take note here of Clout. He's got that Poison Star already built up, an item you'll see a lot, because he just does so much for you. But he might have to be careful if he goes any further into this. Benji does have the Thorns, Mid-Guardian Mail built up as well. It's not going to be that easy with a big old Cucullin barreling at you.
It certainly won't be, and Benji has Mid-Guardian, as you mentioned, and that's going to be very difficult to chew through with zero penetration right now for Clout. So Clout needs to recognize that and do his best to not be hitting Benji in these team fights.
That's the idea.
You have to be hitting Scream, Baskin, PandaCat with this build if you want it to be effective.
Gold Fury being looked at and being chunked by Scream and PandaCat here together. PolarBearMike is getting a lot of attention, so they're not going to come in to defend this yet. But Clout shows some presence, and they drop it for now. eUnited trying to see if they can bait LG in a little bit further.
Kiki, two-man stun on the backside. No relics force quite yet. Now Weaken is going to blink in. That's beads and ult from Baskin as Kiki can't get his transformation off.
Benji gets the kill, but Weaken at least makes it a trade by tracking down Baskin. Fear No Evil pushes two up against the wall. Clout has to use beads, but it's ShadowChair has been left on an island, and Scream punishes him promptly.
Benji still so healthy, though, looking at Clout, who's trying to chase down PBM. Ambush is good, but Weaken immediately eats a big ricochet, though Clout has the banner over the wall.
But PandaCat's got blood in his eyes, jumps in, and is able to find a kill, and now Geno's gonna fall to Benji, who's an unkillable monster at this point. Only Weaken still standing. Benji and PandaCat looking plenty comfortable. They can come right back towards the Gold Fury. 4 for 3 in eUnited's faith.
Have you ever, some of you heard this one before, so we're watching an eUnited game, it's pretty close. You know, both teams are doing pretty well. A team fight starts going against eUnited, and then everyone opens their eyes, and Benji was zoning 3 people and killed 2 of them by himself, and now eUnited's way ahead.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that before, to the point where there's a skin in the game about it. I mean, this guy, if a fight's going even, here's the drawbreaker, right? It's going to be this man playing Cucullin, and he just finds a way to get it done.
At some point, if you're an SPL mid laner, and I see Benji locked in Cucullin, I'm like, come on, man. Like, do I have to? Like, what? It's like when I look at the caster schedule and I see I'm casting with Finch. I'm like, God, what am I supposed to do?
Have a great time.
There's nothing I can do to work with this, you know? There's no counterplay to when Finch starts funching.
You don't want to counter. You just kind of just go along for the ride. That's where the analogy breaks down a bit, because you love when funch starts happening. But PolarBearMike gets a little bit of extra poke coming his way. We can commit the last breath onto him, but there's no kill potential there, so he will at least have to fall back. But a big ultimate, Weekend's been playing great for them this whole game, is not going to be available for this fight.
Benji still here and so healthy, though, and no relics for him for a little bit. Thorn's coming up in about 15 seconds. Kiki gets into the stealth, doesn't take too much damage as Pyromancer does go down for LG.
But are they going to be able to get the clean disengage?
Okay.
Baskin has a ton of damage apparently, but yes, LG won't pay much for getting that Pyromancer, so Weekend's ultimate usage not going to be of much concern. Jotuns is there, cooldown available. He should have it back up before too long, but Scream wants the fight.
ShadowChair as good as dead already. Baskin gets to claim that last hit, again abusing that relic cooldown for ShadowChair in the mid lane. Beads were up pretty soon, but not soon enough.
Man, ShadowChair has not gotten to play, has he? This whole game. It's felt like Scream has just sat on him whenever he realizes where this Discordia is at. But fear no evil, Discordia doesn't really have a way out of it, or at least it doesn't feel that way in this game.
It's one of those mental checks that you need to have that you don't really need to work on until you get to the SPL, which is, are we grouped up? If yes, am I at least 2 or 3 people back?
Right.
I need, in there, ShadowChair is at the even. Think of a soccer or football sort of offside line. I was trying to throw a bone to Graham. What do you mean?
That was so funny, man. You put like the international most popular sport in air quotes just
Sure
now.
did. American.
We're in America,
yeah,
baby.
American, by the way. I think of it as an offsides line almost.
Right.
That you'll see in soccer, where
Yes.
if you are ahead of the last defender, or in this case, your frontliners, you are in the wrong position in general, and that's something that ShadowChair let slip from his mind in that spot. He was even, if not ahead, of where Geno was, and that means that Geno can't protect him in any sense particularly easily from that blink initiation.
Yeah, there's like sort of 2 lines, right, if you're a major hunter in the back line, right? One of them is the far range of your auto attacks. You want to kind of be within that. The other one is wherever your tanks are, right? You want to be back behind that, so...
Oh, but also don't be too far back, because then you're easy to pick off. And also,
that's true, yes.
don't be
Wait,
anywhere near
Can
Benji.
I stop you if this is a mid lane's the hardest role to play speech that's starting right now? Can I stop that?
You can't. No.
You're right, I can't. That's going to happen.
You are not allowed. I'm allowed to, you know, I brought my soapbox here for a reason, and I'm going to get some use out of it.
God, it's down there, isn't it? Jeez Louise. ShadowChair, though, is making a great case for it. There's just not a whole lot of options for Scream, who's just been looking for him this game so far. Benji absorbing a bunch of abilities, but he's happy to do that. Kiki inside that stealth. It's broken right away. He's got to make sure the sprint comes out just to get him to disengage.
That's a pretty good cooldown to strip away, considering that's the only sprint for Luminosity. Kiki went for Aegis once he hit level 12, so he doesn't have a way to get his team movement speed up. Not a lot of slows, except for PandaCat's ultimate, which is a big one, so that's pretty easy.
Fear no evil does catch out Geno, and Geno has been removed. PandaCat right there to follow up. Scream has to jump away, though. There's a ton of damage coming his way. Weekend can't chase him down, and Baskin putting a ton of hurt on the Clout. PolarBearMike there with the follow-up of the dazzling offensive, forces Beads and Aegis.
Benji gonna get in there and steal it away with that ultimate. ShadowChair on the run now, but a good Cobra's Kiss did some good work, and that was Kiki that got it done with the ultimate. Now ShadowChair, of course, will get punished again. Benji, full health, by the way, is under literally no pressure whatsoever. As eUnited lose PandaCat, but Luminosity lose 3 as a trade.
And that's just how it feels like it's going for eUnited. That was the tail of the tape last time.
Kiki walks into lane, stun ready, sees it's Benji transforming, goes, ah, I'm busy. I got something to do over here.
This ain't happening anymore. Not if it's going to be Benji in that rage form, who's 3-1-4 and just can't be touched.
So you'll hear a lot of casters, myself included, whenever a team drafts 4 physical or 4 magical, you go, man, I don't know. It's going to be difficult now because the enemy team is going to be able to itemize very effectively against you. And that's what Geno went for. It's 4 physical for eUnited here. Now, and that oftentimes becomes a detriment. However, when you're one of, whatever it's one of physical or one of magical damage dealer, starts chunking like Baskin has, it becomes a big benefit because Geno has no magical defense. He had no magical defense in that fight. That meant that the Sunder came in from PBM, and Baskin went, I want to kill Geno now. And 2-1 auto dead instantly because he had no magical defense. So it's risky, yes, but that's why you see teams do this, because the payoff is really good.
Gold Fury goes the way of eUnited on the back end of that to extend their lead up to about 5,000. So for as well as they're playing, they're really not that far out in front unless you count the experience front, which is going to be shrinking in a little bit more and more as the game goes on, which is about 8,000. In fact, it's LG who's looking to start up this Fire Giant, but it's no secret. PolarBearMike is right there. Benji is on his way, so they'll have to drop this and take the fight instead.
PandaCat doesn't have any relics on the backside. Kiki tried to keep the CC chain going after his stun, but Panda was able to get up into the sky with that dive bomb, so Kiki can't convert on the back.
Weekend comes on the backside. Last breath instead of onto Baskin goes on to PandaCat, so Weekend ends up trading his life away. Kiki will find Baskin, so it's 1-for-1 so far, but now he has to take the escape path to try and retreat.
Benji, by the way, 1v3. Y'all mind if I chase this guy down? ShadowChair's dead. And there's nothing. Geno's like, sorry, bro. See you later. Every man for himself. ShadowChair just left for the literal sharks.
Benji not done yet either, not satisfied with just ShadowChair. He said, you abandon your friends, then you're gonna go join him. Tries to get him with that ultimate, but at this point, Geno just too tanky, creating tons of space though for PandaCat to get some poke on the tier 2 tower. Benji now zoning away Kiki as well. Actually in that stealth, he wants to come find Panda.
Kiki's so damn fast right now. Gets the beads away from PandaCat. Aegis is still down. Watch Clout coming from the right.
Clout wants to try and come in and even this one up. He does have that eagle eye, and that means PandaCat will fall yet again. 2 for 2 now overall. Benji still 1v3ing.
No way.
Jumping in aggressively, trying to find the trade on Clout, but even Benji can fall eventually and get sent back to base.
Okay, thank goodness. And Clout, you know that whole time, like, yeah, guys, we got him. It's the meme with the guy with the face that's smiling, but behind the mask he's crying.
Right.
That was Clout right there. Like, we got this one, guys. Don't worry. But really, I'm internally horrified that Benji's about to style on
It's
us.
like the cheap little mask on the front. Like this, yeah, it's definitely a facade.
I got away from my bit of explaining memes.
Right.
That I was doing probably over a year ago at this point. That was a really good bit by me that I think I should kind of revive.
By the way, that moment that just happened just now is what it's like to be around aggro 100% of the time. This thing I used to do, top tier, by the way. Let me get back to that.
This thing I'm currently doing, top tier, by the way.
Either way, he's a big fan of himself. As Fire Giant's down to about half HP. Scream is getting the ire of Weekend, but has Fear No Evil there to try and push him back. Fire Giant still being held onto by LG. PolarBearMike is here for the steal attempt, but LG are going to be able to secure it.
Scream stunned. Beads are pretty good from him, but Weekend waiting on the backside. He gets that kill as Clout gonna find 3 in a row. That brings down Baskin, and you're right, Finch. This is huge for Luminosity. They get 2 kills. Fire Giant now at 27 minutes. And look, they aren't going to end the game with this FG, but look at all the gold available on the map for Luminosity to take. 3 tier 2 towers, 2 tier 1s. Gold Fury's up in a minute and a half. You can even get a Phoenix here in mid. It's still 30 seconds plus until Scream and Baskin are up.
And it's because Weekend and Kiki have been playing out of their minds this whole game. What an excellent fight from them this time. Weekend repeatedly able to find key members in the backline and bring them low. Now PandaCat wants to keep this Phoenix standing. He drops the ultimate to zone them out. PolarBearMike going to be the defense for it, but Geno not going to let that happen for free. A great zoning position, and Phoenix comes down.
Unreal. Luminosity. This is exciting to watch. And
Yeah.
this is the Luminosity we saw at the very beginning of the summer split that had a lot of momentum, that looked like they were going to be able to start rising up the ranks of top North American teams. And then they started to drop off. But I really feel like they have potential if they can stick with the meta. I think that's where they kind of fell short. I also think that for a time, Luminosity is still playing the games of, we're just going to pick these gods and out-smite game you. And I don't think you can really do that anymore in the Pro League. You have to come in with a dedicated plan. Here is what we are picking. Here is why we are picking it. And not only that, because that evolution happened a while ago, the next step of picks and bans was to really work with your composition, against your composition. But now the logical next step is, and here is our game plan with these specific picks. Not letting your picks dictate your game plan, but letting your game plan dictate your picks. And I think that's what Luminosity has struggled with on and off so far during Season 5. But when it works, it works. In this team composition, we are going to out-team fight you.
Yes.
Because Kiki is going to be too hard to lock down. He's going to be a complete nuisance. Weekend is going to somehow team fight well as Cirquet because, I don't know how, but we'll make it work, I suppose. But Terra Ult is so good in team fights. Hachiman is one of the best team fighting hunters because everything he does is going to boost up his team or at least deal some amount of AoE damage. It is fairly safe as well.
And allow me to rescind my worries about this build from Clout, as I'm sure that 17,000 damage he's doing to lead his team has been much appreciated by the rest of LG. So it ain't just Kiki and Weekend. Clout certainly putting in a ton of work himself. eUnited positioning curiously here as if they don't want to give up the Gold Fury 30 minutes into the match, and it has slowed down LG at least a little bit, though Weekend was able to find the Tier 2 over in solo. So LG just kind of give it up. They're going to push forward and try and take this fight around the Tier 2.
You know, I just realized that I got my splits mixed up a little bit there. It was Spring Split. The Luminosity looked much better. At the
right,
very
you were saying that they beat United earlier on. I think
in spring, right? So my apologies on that one. I don't know. I lagged.
Yeah, I elected not to blow up your spot. I wasn't sure if you could handle it or not. See?
What was that?
The reset.
I've already totally forgotten I made any mistake ever.
PandaCat drops the ultimate to clear the wave. That's just to slow LG down a little bit. That's a big team fighting tool, but it does mean it's going to be that much harder for them to siege. Benji goes in aggressively to make the most of this rage, but look at Kiki looking for Baskin. With that Mad Guy's cloak, though, he should be okay.
That's why Baskin bought that Mad Guy's, because he needs it to keep his beads up in this spot. And look how far Baskin has to stay from this team fight, because Kiki is just a complete nuisance.
Weekend blinks in on the backside. He's looking for PandaCat one more time. They're not getting much damage onto the Phoenix as PolarBearMike surges forward with the dazzling offensive right into the ultimate coming out from Benji as well. LG still looking plenty tanky as Fear No Evil comes out on the side of LG, I believe.
Benji's still up, though, and that's huge because he can get back in this. Nice whoop from Baskin. Does about half of ShadowChair's health, but left Phoenix still stands. Now, Titan did take a good portion of its health, about a third, from that fire minion wave coming from mid, but Benji staying up means that eUnited can still defend these Phoenixes.
And I love this combination. PolarBearMike and Benji initiating at the same time for that two-man stun. The front line was really strong, and I think it might have forced Kiki's hand to come in. He transformed to the Unbots, which I don't think we've seen him do all game long at this point. I don't know if that's been what they want in this game plan, but the Fear No Evil had to come out to sort of get LG away from the rest of that fight.
I wonder if Earth and Fury is a better transformation there.
Yeah,
not trying to say that Kiki hasn't played phenomenally in this game, but as far as team fighting ultimates at this stage of the game, Earth and Fury might be just marginally better, depending on the relic cooldown situation. You did get some good value out of Fear No Evil, but they just didn't have the damage to punch through Benji's tankiness. I think locking him down with that angle is probably a little bit better than Earth and Fury, but moving forward especially, I think Earth and Fury might end up being better for Kiki as a end of the team fight sort of transformation.
Yeah, and that's about as good as a Fire Giant can go for you, by the way, because nearly every tower was up before this all started, and they were able to grab the Phoenix. They clear up those towers as well. They're going to grab another Fire Giant. eUnited gonna have to show us their defensive chops for the first time here in fall. I feel like they've been on such an offensive surge. What's their Phoenix defense like?
It's not too bad. I mean, Baskin isn't the best at clearing waves, but we've seen PandaCat lead with Sunbreaker as the wave clear tool.
Yes.
And so Luminosity, the adjustment I'd like to see them make is have Geno step in, Kiki gets an initiation, and immediately pull back as soon as PandaCat drops the ultimate, then just wait for the next wave. Now with mid-Phoenix down, or back up rather, there's no clock. You're not on a clock right now if you're Luminosity. You have 3+ minutes to use this Fire Giant buff, so use it all. You don't have to rush. You should try and bait out PandaCat's ultimate and then try and engage afterwards, because you're right, it's difficult for them to clear the wave without use of that, because Baskin is just using such an important cooldown in that Aurora Blade to try and clear out the wave that it's not going to work out quite as well.
Man, Kiki really has forced everybody to buy these Mad Guy's cloaks, it feels like. At least everyone that's got to be afraid on the side of eUnited. Scream and Baskin both Got to make sure they're staying back because these stuns can come from anywhere. But a great play from him so far. We can also diving the back lines and forcing the hands of anyone on the side of eUnited. If they can find those same initiations that have been working for them, either Weekend or Kiki coming into the backside and getting a nice early pick, eUnited might have some trouble defending here despite how strong they've looked.
Now, eUnited is pretty close to full build. In fact, everybody is full build on eUnited. So, yeah, a couple power potions potentially for LG, but outside of that, eUnited's basically even. It's just this Enhanced Fire Giant. Now, I'm saying just Enhanced Fire Giant. That's a big deal, but it's not like there's a massive lead right now for Luminosity. This game is still very close to even. LG has the advantage, but not by that much.
Nice ricochet coming out from PandaCat. Phoenix here in mid, of course, is that weakened one, as Geno is able to find some nice damage, as Benji ends up getting poked. Fear No Evil and Earth and Fury all have to be expended, but Kiki's the one wrapping back in. Benji is going to be the target, and he's not tanky enough. Clout finds the first kill.
Great Fear No Evil that time from Kiki, and that opens the door for an easy mid-Phoenix siege for Luminosity. Left side Phoenix could be next. Now, Baskin still has ult and both relics. PandaCat has both relics, so eUnited can fight in this spot.
They are going to come back out and certainly not give up this left beam for free. It's down to half HP. PandaCat gets rooted, but no more immediate follow-up. They're going to keep trying to look for this poke. Phoenix still standing. Enough of a zone from eUnited to not give this up immediately for free, but Weekend saw the go button. ShadowChair finally showing up in the bunch of damage that he brought out. Scream, though, will find the return kill onto Weekend. PolarBearMike very low. No help for him as Clout finds one more kill.
Baskin, the last hope, and that hope is snuffed out by ShadowChair, notching his second kill. Luminosity forcing a game 3 now against eUnited.
They got me to Owen Wilson in here, man. LG putting up quite an impressive performance here in game 2. And I led with this, man. This set not quite as simple as you might have thought if you missed earlier on. LG looked strong in the earlier set. They're looking strong here. They often come out the starter split strong, and so far they're doing it again.
They are, and I wonder what Luminosity is going to do when teams start banning this Morrigan.
Yes.
Because it's coming. Make no mistake. eUnited, if I'm on eUnited here, I'm taking first pick, and I'm taking the Morrigan first overall. I really do feel that strongly about it.
Yes.
Maybe you could go into second pick, leave open a couple things that you can get the Morrigan and another good pick after that on the backswing and just trust the Luminosity wouldn't first pick the Morrigan. But I don't know if Luminosity could pick something that gives them a better chance to win than giving Kiki that god right now.
He's been playing so well on it, but is it MVP caliber? That's my question for all y'all in Mixer chat. I certainly think so, though Weekend's performance this game was also out of this world. I wouldn't be mad at you at all if you want to throw your vote to him.
I thought Geno had a phenomenal game as well on the Terra. He continues to impress. I mean, Geno is consistently having great performance after great performance. No longer this SPL newcomer or anything like that. He is without a doubt an SPL caliber support and one of the better in the league.
And we're going to have a game 3 in this one. eUnited a bit up against the ropes, up against LG, who continually impressed me so far here in this week 1. But this is where they really got to bring it home. They have not won this set yet. They got to get this second win to get it done. Let's get it back over to the desk and get their thoughts on if they can do it.
Thanks a lot, Finch. Thanks a lot, Ryan. Fantastic job in the commentary and fantastic job in the game for Luminosity. Really stepping it up. eUnited was so close the entire time, but ultimately eUnited's Titan is the one that falls.
If you showed me that minute and a half clip of a level 20 Benji on the Colin tower diving ShadowChair into oblivion and then continuing to harass all of Luminosity for the next 40 seconds or so, I would almost never want to believe you that Luminosity actually brought this one home, but the team did such a great job capitalizing, I think, off of overextended engagements from eUnited.
And we heard the commentators talk about ShadowChair for a brief moment about how, he's kind of newer and obviously eUnited are going to be focusing him. And Luminosity, when you have a new player, right, the other team is always the one that comes to mind in conversation, right? Are they going to focus out the new player? But you forget about the team who has the new player and how you work around that. ShadowChair had something like 5 or 6 deaths, and Weekend and Kiki had very few deaths because they were able to capitalize off of the fact that their mid laner was being aggressed on. So Weekend, Kiki, Geno, and Clout just sat there free casting.
Also, comes as no surprise that the guy who has a literal Circuit logo is doing a great job on her. He had such a positive start with that triple kill from the get-go, and I think that also comes largely off the back of ShadowChair helping him out there to get everybody grouped up into the same area. I think that Geno was very careful about his placements as well of the Monolith, did a great job looking to cut off eUnited at times, but this quadra physical composition from eUnited, I also, once things were still even around that 25-minute plus mark, it started slowly going more and more and more into Luminosity's favor.
And ultimately, it's going to be the short side that winds up with the MVP. KikiSoCheeky with the oddball selection. The Morgan in the solo lane. This was the one that really set the tone of the game. Kiki gets the kill under the tower, and though in doubt, will we see the whole one? Because this is an extended fight. Yeah, Kiki will go back to the jungle and pick up the secondary kill.
Look at that invis stealth speed. Scream has no idea until it's entirely too late. And Kiki as well, for this first week, has just been on an absolute tear in the solo lane. We haven't just seen one trick out of this man. He has been all over the place with his god pick choices, and this Morgan was no different. He did a great job understanding what transformations would be the most effective for the current engagement.
And Kiki is a character that is extremely, extremely hot or cold. He is blazing hot or he is ice cold.